Cultural scripts. Rooted in everyday activities is culture, one of the many factors that influence child development. Culture can be thought of as consisting of material and symbolic tools. Material tools are physical objects and observable patterns of behavior, such as family routines and social practices, while symbolic tools pertain to abstract knowledge, beliefs, and values. One way of taking into account the effects of culture on child development is to observe the use of cultural scripts in child play. From the moment they're born, children are surrounded by cultural artifacts, which they experience first by observing the adults use them, and then by imitating the actions themselves. Child's play, in a way, is a cultural construction, because children enact cultural scripts pertaining to day-to-day practices representative of their cultural traditions. Children represent their world by playfully imitating episodes of adult life. In this way, cultural artifacts present in the classroom allow children to develop practices and belief systems based on their social environment. Child's play therefore becomes a very influential element in a child's acquisition of cultural values and beliefs. The scripts a child enacts and the tools used to imitate social roles have an origin in culture. Therefore, it is easy to see how culture affects us in many ways, from the tools we use to the things we do, and how we think about our world. As people living in a community, we are constantly interacting with one another in various settings. How these interactions carry out are based on the cultural scripts passed down throughout our generations. These tell us what to do and what not to do, as well as how we should feel and behave in certain contexts. Cultural scripts guide our thought patterns across situations, aid in our communication with one another, and help us follow cultural norms. In this way, cultural scripts limit the type of people we can become. Children's representations of their worlds in play reveals their knowledge of cultural traditions. From a very early age, we are instructed into following certain cultural pathways. This study was done to observe the extent to which cultural scripts mediate the lives of children. This concept of cultural construction of self is important because it reveals how an individual's developmental pathway is shaped by the socialization experiences made available to them by their cultures. The purpose of my observation was to examine the effects of culture on child development through their use of cultural scripts. In other words, to observe through child's play the ways in which social practices have influenced the mental representations that children have created of their world and how they interact with it as a result. The study is an attempt to reveal that a child's worldview and sense of self is strongly affected by the social cultural practices of their communities.
Created using Powtoon.